All right, so we got Dylan Shannon here, who is Mr. Gymshark, Mr. Raw. Um, how's it going, man? How you been?
Good man, been doing well. Excited to be on the call. Yeah, things are going well.
Sick, dude. No, I appreciate you hopping on. Um, Dylan actually was one of the first guys I worked with when I hopped back on the coaching scene. Um, we met in what was it June that we
June, yeah,
met
June in
in
Austin. Yep,
person?
yep. You were
Yeah,
in the
in
shirt at the Coach 'em
Austin.
Up conference. Yeah,
Yep, I am wearing the shirt. Yep. Dude, that conference was sick. Shout out to Tim and their team because that was an event. I can't wait. Definitely want to go back again. Um, but he's gonna have it like at his new gym, I guess, right?
that's what I assume. Yeah, that'll be a cool time. It was really fun. Like, good speakers, good time, and then got to meet you. Met a lot of other people. It's like cool meeting people online that you follow on Instagram, and then like meeting in
Yeah.
person. So I think that's like a cool event for it. Like, meet all these other fitness, strength coaches, nutritionists in person.
Yeah. You're one of the like big fitness influencers that I saw that are like, oh dude, this guy plays rugby. That's fucking sick.
Yeah, that's how we initially met. It was the rugby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember it was
Yeah.
like we were like DMing about like tempo runs or something,
Yeah.
something like that. And yeah, because you don't see a lot of like rugby. I feel like the rugby community is like if you play rugby, like hell yeah, you play rugby. It's like a tight knit,
Yeah.
especially rugby and strength and conditioning. It's even more like yeah, hell yeah,
Yeah, because you don't get a lot of, especially in North America, because it's such like a casual sport,
yeah,
relatively speaking. So it's like you don't get a lot of guys that are like, I feel like a lot of the top athletes go play football or something,
yeah,
right? Or
exactly.
like if they're up in Canada, all the like a lot of the top athletes go play hockey or something, right?
Yeah,
So
some other
it's not
sport.
common. But no, man, I appreciate you hopping on the call. Dylan and I w worked together for yeah, 12 weeks back, starting in end of July, early August. Um, but yeah, tell me a little bit about what was going on with training, nutrition, health before we actually started working together.
Yeah, so like before I started working, kind of the main reason I reached out was I've been training for like 12 years, and now I'm fortunate enough I kind of get like I train for a living, like I make social media content, so I have the opportunity like essentially get to work out for a living. So I've always wanted to like nutrition has always been something, I've been mindful of, I have a basic understanding of, and I've learned on my own throughout, but it's like it's also not my area of expertise. I've always been more in like the strength and conditioning, but I've known how much nutrition, obviously, for physique, aesthetics and performance, how important it is. So I've always wanted to kind of get more in tune with that. So reaching out for that to like kind of fine tune my nutrition. I've been tracking my calories for a while, macros, all this, but like getting better with like micronutrients, meal timing, and just like basic understanding nutrition. So that was one big thing. And the second one is I actually been like for a while, I've been binge eating quite a bit. So like I would have like these binge eating episodes where I'd eat like everything in sight. And actually, that was the night I reached out because I was like, it was kind of like it kept going on and on. And I'd always like push it off the side. I'm like, oh, just go away, away. And it kept getting worse and worse. So kind of reached out for like guidance with that. So like the binge eating, also just getting better with my nutrition and yeah, fine tuning that.
Nice, man. Yeah, so um, I guess like outside of the binge eating, like performance wise, how did you like what did things look like in the gym for you? Like was there anything else that was kind of, I know you were looking at fine-tuning performance. Was there anything that you felt off with your training? Um, that you wanted to like really dial it in for?
Yeah, I mean, I think my training was like I've always been someone who I like doing a lot of stuff. Like, I like training the performance like I want to get jacked and athletic. I train the performance side. I like
Yeah.
the bodybuilding side, the strength side. So I know like one, like obviously training for that's a lot of training and like I think sometimes you always want to do more, more, and more, but also kind of like looking at and like focusing on specific areas at different times. So you can actually like, instead of trying to do everything and just barely getting better at it. Why not focus on one thing at a time, getting really good at that, keeping the other things. So I think with the training, it was again kind of like fine tuning the training and having more specific focuses on that, and
Yeah.
then how the nutrition can kind of like play into that. Because I think the biggest thing was like with the nutrition was kind of utilizing it, like especially pre and post training. was a big thing. Like for me, it's like I've been tracking my calories forever, but it was never really mindful of my macros. It's like, okay, I want to make sure I'm getting enough protein, but fats and carbs are always kind of like, oh, they're kind of like they make up the rest of it. And I think the biggest thing was
Yeah,
like kind of realizing how important carbohydrates were. I knew how, obviously you hear all the time how important they are for like training and everything, but like utilizing them pre, post training, how much better the sessions were, how much more energy you have, and then obviously like protein and everything, um, and just like food recommendations and stuff like with
right.
micronutrients, macronutrients, so like help optimize like the training. Because like if I spend all this time working out, why not try to feel the best I can in the gym
Yeah,
while I'm doing it, if I can, just with like simple nutritional tricks and stuff.
right. Yeah, the jack leap training is no joke. I feel like you're one of the first people I saw really doing that on like on a like I know Chris Bumstead started doing that after he retired, but
Oh,
the
he
actual
did. I
like
was kidding.
yeah,
He's killing it
yeah.
now. It's fun watching. I saw him sprinting the other
Yeah.
day. It was cool to see. Yeah,
Oh, damn.
yeah,
Crazy
yeah.
to see someone that big sprinting, though. I think that's like part of the reason that you blew up because you were like, dude, this dude's strong as shit. You're also fast doing the athletic training and the jumping and sprinting. But that training, it's in and of itself is just like, it's no joke. It requires a ton of energy, right? And then the other thing is obviously like your physique was already pretty dialed in. It's like, okay, like what can we actually tweak to make sure that you're actually progressing, right? With kind of like multiple facets of your training, right? Different qualities. Because when
Hmm.
you're doing that concurrent training, it's like such a big wear and tear on your body, right? Um, but I guess my other question is, what made you reach out to me specifically over like say, any other coaches that you have seen kind of in the space?
Absolutely. It's kind of like how we talked in the beginning. It was literally because you're like one of the kind of trained the same way, the jacked and athletic style, but like you have both experience with bodybuilding and like the sport performance, the rugby. So I think that's like super unique because it's like I love both aspects of it, but it's like there's a lot of great strength and conditioning coaches or like who might not have much experience with, like the hypertrophy or like don't really care about the aesthetic side. Just like there's a lot of great bodybuilding, but they don't really care about the
Yeah,
performance side. So knowing I love to train that way where I want someone who knows, how to program sprints, jumps, Olympic lifts, heavy strength training as well as like the bodybuilding physique side and like hypertrophy training. I think that was super important. So that was like literally the number one thing because I know that's kind of how we met on Instagram was kind of like that style of training. And then as I was
right,
following you and then as we met in like Austin, like because I didn't realize, you had been a competitive bodybuilder at a high level doing that and you had played rugby and I thought that was super cool. So like you've had experience with both and like that's the way I like to train. Because like for me, I kind of stopped playing rugby, but like kind of in the future, potentially might want to get into bodybuilding or do these other like athletic competitions. So, I think having someone who's done both and who can who's also very knowledgeable with it, like can recommend stuff based off their own personal experience, but also like based off research and stuff they're looking into was super important.
100%. I appreciate that, man.
Indeed.
Did you, I guess, like before signing up with the coach, or just like, did you have any hesitations or anything that you're kind of like, um, yeah, any hesitations before signing up with me?
Honestly, not really, because I was at a point where it's like, again, I've been training forever, but there's some stuff like I'm never gonna like know. Like, and I think nutrition has always been it. Like, I know how important nutrition is for training, for performance, for the aesthetic side, and I read stuff. I can watch all the stuff online and stuff and learn from other people. But I think having a coach that can actually like you've made it so simple with stuff that's like super complex stuff. You like not dumb it down, but you bring it down to my level so I can understand it easier and like how that translates into stuff. So honestly, there was no hesitation. Once I like reached out to you, like I knew I was going to sign up anyways, just because I knew how important that nutrition and that guidance was going to be to take to the next step. Because I was at a point where it's like, okay, I've kind of reached a ceiling where I can do it on my own. And like, I know if I want to reach that next step with performance and aesthetics and everything, like it's coming down to those small little things like, nutrition and all those factors and like program management and all that.
Right, right. Um, yeah, people always forget that like nutrition is like not just your physique, but the biggest thing that I've actually, the feedback I've got from other clients too is like how much energy they feel mentally too, cognitive wise, like how much better they function, especially just having more carbs in the diet. It's like, oh, I
Yes,
can,
yeah, yeah,
my energy throughout the day is a lot better. I can function better,
yeah.
right? Um,
Yeah, you just feel good. It's like because like when my nutrition is in lock, everything's in lock. Like my
yeah,
my obviously my training's great, but then like what I do for business and work and all that's great as well. It's just like it's crazy. Like I mean, you always hear like how important nutrition is for everything, like cognitively, but like once you actually dial it in, you're like, holy shit, like why would I want to
yeah.
mess this up? I feel so good right now, and how much it stems in everything else, and like the importance of that.
Well, I think too, that's when I did my first bodybuilding show, I kind of like I didn't actually care to like step on stage, but and I've heard this from a couple of people is they just enjoy the routine of it because you start feeling good because you have to have your diet dialed in, right? Like that's the whole
Yeah.
point of it. And you just feel good, you know, up to a certain point before the show, you feel really locked in and everything else kind of like follows. So yeah, nutrition is just it's such a foundation for literally everything. So
Hmm.
um, what would you say, like after the program, what would you say the top three things you got, like results wise from the program?
Like any result,
Yeah,
physically,
yeah, and
mentally.
absolutely anything. Yeah,
So I
physically,
think
mentally, anything.
first one, well, one, like the guidance has been like awesome. Like stuff. I mentioned earlier, it kind of one of the main reasons I reached out was binge eating, and that's something I've kind of like struggled with over the last like 2 years, and kind of had gotten worse and worse up until I reached out. So I think that's been a big thing because that's something like we have weekly calls. We talk a lot about that because for a while, especially like early on, like August and September is like pretty much every week I was binge eating because I would get like 5 days in and I'll be like, oh, I'm excited for the next call because I'm dialed in. Then I would binge eat. And then you would always give me like great recommendations and stuff to like implement. And like it's the small little things I would never think of, like increasing fiber intake or like how, overtraining can lead to like binge eating and everything. Just like the small psychological stuff that like it makes a lot of sense once you hear it, but I never like thought about that. So I think that was a big thing is like and now my binge eating's gotten a lot better over like it's been like 15 days since I last binge ate, and it's gotten like and I definitely like that's the cool thing. It's like it was something I remember early on, like I was like honestly like kind of scared about because I'm like it's getting worse and worse. And it's like one of those things where it's like something that gets worse and worse, like, oh, it's never gonna get better and this and that. And it's like I kept binge eating and then okay, it's getting better. It's been 8 days of binge eat, it's getting better, it's been five, and then it kept happening. But now I'm at a point where I'm actually confident, like, oh, I feel like I've like not conquered it because maybe it'll come up, but like I've definitely gotten over the hump, and I feel like confident like with the strategies I've gained, like to get through when I have experienced that. So I think that's been the biggest thing. Like the binge eating's gotten way better, and I'm like super confident in the future that it won't like impact me as much or at all. So that's been one.
Right.
Another thing is I think the biggest thing is like I'm someone like I'm fortunate enough now I get to like almost essentially train for a living because I like do Instagram and I make social media content. So for me, it's like right now I'm kind of in a weird phase where it's like, what am I training for? So, I love the performance side, but I also like the bodybuilding side. And I kind of like not maybe not having a specific training goal like oh here's a something circled on the calendar an end date, but I kind of do like that. So I know we had talked kind of about like different competitions, maybe doing a bodybuilding competition or there's this apex, these athletic events and stuff. So I think that's been another thing is like kind of realizing if you're training for something, the importance of like training volume and just having like a set routine plan. I want like I like training twice a day. I like doing a ton of stuff. But like if I were to go to a bodybuilding show, like the training's gonna be a lot different and kind of realizing that. So I think having someone again, kind of I talked about earlier, like who has the expertise in like the style of training I like with the rugby training, the strength and conditioning, and then like the bodybuilding side. Like I think that's a big thing is like having someone who's done it before. So like you trust in their plan. Like I'm someone's like I love writing my own training. I love researching that stuff. But like I also do realize like there are some stuff I'm holding myself back with. And it's like important to have someone to like talk to and bounce ideas off of because
Yeah.
that's if I have a plan where it's like, all right, we've agreed on it, it's like this is what we're doing, then I'm all in on that. So I think that's an important thing. Otherwise I'll bounce back and forth. So I guess to kind of answer that, it's like having more of a structured routine that makes sense for like the overall goal, like what the goal is, and like working backwards from that. So that was another thing. And then I think the third thing was like kind of like again, I talked about like the nutrition and kind of like fine tuning that. You know, I've trained forever
Yeah.
and I've been mindful of my nutrition, tracking calories, but like I think around training, pre and post training, with like carbohydrates and stuff like that, kind of more like micronutrients and like fiber intake, um, and just like small things like nutritional, like stuff where it's like you would look at my, I'd give you like a report back and you'd be like, well, let's try to increase like your vitamin C this week. You know, you can do that with these foods, this and that. You'd give like a detailed, which I thought was really cool because it's like, oh shoot, that's interesting. How like a sweet potato, maybe if I added that in instead of white rice, like how that could impact something else. So I think stuff like that, where it's like the small fine tuning of nutrition, where it's not like overly complicated, where it's like, oh, you have to eat this every meal, this and that, but like giving like guidance on that and how like if you ate that or implemented that pre or post training or at night, how that would lead to like better results.
Right.
Hopefully that all makes sense.
Yeah, I think no, 100%, man. No, that's the thing is like fine tuning like food choices and stuff like that because you always want to keep digestive health at top of mind. But no, you implemented feedback really well. And it was crazy, dude. I would see your numbers that you were throwing up on Instagram every time you're posting like a lift. I'm like, holy crap, this dude's like squatting close to 500 for reps,
Yeah,
which was
yeah,
wild.
the strength's gone up. It's been cool, like seeing that. But good, it's been
Well,
fun. It's fun training. Yeah.
the other thing too was your I know like when I looked at your initial blood work too, how your testosterone increased during
Oh
that
yeah,
time.
dog. Yeah, that's a huge one too. So that was another thing. Obviously, that was cool. I've never done my blood work before. I'm 27. I guess I was
Yeah.
26 when we started, but I'd never done blood work ever. So that was one thing you had implemented or was something important to get. So getting it done, and what do you know? My testosterone levels were extremely low, like super, super low. And that was a big thing. So that actually would it triple over the 3 months, essentially,
Yeah,
or
it was
quadruple
basically
almost.
like it was like over 300% increase.
Yeah. So it went up tremendously. And that was a big thing. That was actually, yeah, I can't even, sorry, I forgot about that. But like that was also kind of how that tied into me reaching out because the lower testosterone essentially like stim caused everything like that caused kind of like the binge eating, this why I'm feeling so tired all the time, this and that, like the negative side effects. I've kind of experienced that for a while, like being lethargic, like low drive, libido, all that, and then like overtraining, and definitely noticed a huge like I definitely feel way better. I've definitely noticed like a night and day, and obviously it was all done naturally. Like it just
Right.
300% increase over the last couple months, and I think it was literally just due to the training volume, like kind of being more in tune with the training volume, decreasing it. I started adding more rest days. I started like
Yeah.
for the 3 months I did like a 3-on-1 off approach rather than a 6-on-1 off approach. That helped, and then just like getting rid of stuff like I always did a lot of like hard conditioning sessions because I was so hardwired in my brain from rugby. But it's like, why am I
Right.
doing this? One, why am I doing this? It's actually negatively impacting my stuff I care about, like my speed, power, and strength. So taking stuff like that out, like actually kind of looking at my program and like, okay, there's some stuff you don't actually need to do, and you can be making better gains by taking that out. And then obviously how that impacts like testosterone and recovery. So that was obviously a massive thing, like increase my testosterone and like the feeling. Like I do feel way, way better. And I'm sure, I'm excited to get my blood, like I got my blood work done again, was that October, like mid-October, so
Yeah.
2.5 months. But it was super encouraging to see that go up and like, because that was another thing that was when I first got it done, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe how low that is. And it was one of
Yeah.
those, I was like, can I even like get that up? And so like, and then like feeling the differences over the months. And then when I got it done again, I was like, okay, I definitely noticed it going up and you see it on paper going up. So that was really cool.
No, 100%, dude. Like the I know like the whole TRT and peptide craze is like all-time peak right now. And a lot of
Yeah.
guys are like, oh, like, I think my test is low, like I feel like lethargic and all these things. But you don't realize how much of what you're doing plays into that, right? Um, Training volume, stress,
Being.
your nutrition or like, lack
Yeah.
thereof, and like, right, all these things that play into it. So I'm always like, okay, like we can definitely like solve this without adding something else to the mix because it's oftentimes like we just add pharmaceuticals to the mix. It's just like, okay, we might be digging ourselves a bigger hole here. You don't actually need
Hmm.
this, right? And that's something I'm passionate about is keeping guys away from that sort of stuff if they don't actually need it, right? And like you
Hmm.
won't know until you assess all those other factors. So no, that was I was pumped to see that number go up and you're actually like starting to feel better because that actually does feed into like, could potentially affect binge eating behavior as well, right?
Yeah.
Um, because testosterone is linked to dopamine as well and those reward pathways. So it's no, I'm pumped to see that for you as well, bro. That was awesome. But yeah, moving forward, how do you feel about what we kind of what we executed in the program? Like,
Yeah,
you
I,
know,
I I feel really good. That's what I'm excited for because like I mentioned earlier, like I do want to train for something in the future. And I'm waiting to hear back on some specific. Maybe I'm training for that, but if not, like that's kind of what I'm excited for. Is like once I have like a set goal, which will probably be sometime early next year, mid next year, and like working towards that, like with nutrition, with training, and kind of like accepting like the team at I don't know if this makes like the teamwork where it's not just me like oh this is the program I'm running when I don't actually like
yeah,
but realizing like okay if we do go a bodybuilding route maybe we do a bodybuilding show like realizing like by taking out I know you love sprinting but by taking out sprints you actually your legs could actually grow bigger because of all this and that or by adding this extra rest day you're actually recovering more and your shoulders will get bigger this and that or if we go the athletic route, like having blocks of training, like, okay, maybe we focus more on the strength, more of a strength and the power and then everything, and then kind of have like that concurrent training model where it's like, you can bring the training volume with hypertrophy down and still have gains and still, you know, keep your muscle and all this and that. So I think it's like that structured approach, but it's more, and then as well as like the nutritional aspect with it, because depending like, and I don't know what I'm aspect avenue I'm going, but I'm waiting to hear back on something like if I want to do that. But I do know early next year, mid next year, there should be something that will actually have like something marked on the calendar that I'm training for, and like
right.
knowing how important like the nutritional aspect and just fine tuning everything's going to be for that, and kind of like the management, like working together and to
Yeah.
accomplish that goal.
Yeah, dude, that would be sick if you got that opportunity. I know we're kind of not mentioning it. It's touch on knock on wood, but that would be
Yeah, we'll
sick
see.
if you. I know
It'd be
the
cool, but if
and that's
not, yeah, not. There's other stuff on the horizon that'll be just as fun, I
oh,
guess.
100%. But that's the thing about like working with a coach that I found even for myself because I've worked with so many coaches in the past is like it sometimes for guys they like we just want to do so much in the gym, right? Especially when you just love training, you're just like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, and it's like, okay, like what's your actual goal right now, right? Especially if you're training for something specific, you need to when you get to a certain level, you need to specify a little bit harder in those things. It's not to say that you can't completely eliminate like, things like you mentioned, like things you like to do, like the sprinting and the jumping and stuff. It's just like, okay, how do we modulate volume to just, at least keep that enjoyment there, but
Hmm.
also still working as efficiently as we can towards the intended outcome. And I think that's like having that that's probably like because you can find information nowadays like, anywhere, right? Like we have ChatGPT now. You can literally find information anywhere. But the actual like part about working with a coach is actually like having that accountability to be like, sometimes pull you back a little bit when you're teetering, right? When you're wanting like, okay, I got to do this, or getting like a little bit emotional about your training or whatever, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
think yeah, that's such a big thing. Like with training, it's like again, like you can look up anything online, but like the human aspect, like there's so many other aspects of training, like the psychological side. Like if someone loves doing something and then like you take that away and it's like, well, now I don't even like to train anymore. Like all that
yeah,
small little stuff that like goes into it, or someone who maybe likes a lower volume approach for someone who likes a higher volume approach, or there's a million different aspects besides just like what's written on paper and what's told to do, and I think that's such an important thing like with the coaching, especially someone who's done it and like you have a good relationship and you kind of understand one another, so yeah, obviously it's such an important aspect of it.
yeah, 100%, dude. That human element is underrated. I think that's like my favorite part about working working with a coach in general. I mean, I've mainly just worked with bodybuilding coaches and like nutrition coaches, but yeah. Okay, so real talk. What for anyone who's considering working with you, what would you tell
Yeah, I would say definitely do it. I mean, it's amazing how knowledgeable he is. Like the amount of like I have a master's in strength and conditioning, and I've been doing this for like 12 years. And like I love learning this stuff and researching it, but like the ability of how you like simplify it to me or how it makes sense, especially like the nutrition side, like how, okay, we look at the blood work, how, okay, your testosterone's lower, you're binge eating, how that all plays together, like how, like having a meal plan and like giving recommendations on foods to eat or like something I might be deficient in and recommending that, and like how that all correlates into training and like gaining muscle and this and that. So I think definitely recommend it like if you want to up your training, if you want to take it to the next level, because there's only so much you can do on your own. And I've always trained on my own and never had a coach before, but I've definitely like got to a point where it's like I'm plateauing, I'm not making any gains, and it's like that's a frustrating part, because it's like that's the fun thing about the gym or anything, is like when you see changes in your physique or you're getting stronger or everything's, you're getting more powerful, you're running faster, but once you start to plateau, you're like, okay, well, I definitely like I've gotten to a point where I need guidance or someone to like look over stuff. And then what do you know? Like there's small little tweaks you can make. You can always get better with something or learn something. So I think the ability to like learn so much and like how everything is kind of interconnected and how it plays into that. And but also like it's not overly complicated. It's not like I had to like do a complete 360 on my life. Like I had everything, like everything was the same. It's just like, okay, maybe, you instead of eating 4 meals a day, you have 5 meals a day and you have this many carbs before you train. And all right, maybe you take an extra rest day, because how that's going to impact, this extra conditioning session is actually going to be negative instead of positive. And that's going to impact like your recovery, and you're not going to be able to gain as much muscle as you want during this phase. So I think just the small things that like, in your own head, if you're just on your own, you're like, okay, you don't, you would just do it. I think having someone to talk to and get the guidance on and learn more and how you can implement that has been key.
Oh, sick, man. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's definitely it's been really fun working with you. And like I was pumped and when you reached out. I was like, oh heck yeah. Like I know we vibed over jived we vibed over the
Yeah.
whole rugby thing too. And then like meeting in Austin and like what is such a cool time too.
Yeah,
But no, it's been great working with you, an absolute like friggin' unit. If you're on social media, definitely go check Dylan out. Is there an underscore in your name?
yeah. It's @_ Dylan Shannon.
Dylan Shannon. Yeah. Go follow his content.
Appreciate
He's an
it.
absolute stud. You're with Gymshark and Raw. You were at Olympia this year too, right? Like at the booth.
Yeah, yeah. It was a fun time. First time at the Olympia was awesome. Such a cool event and experience.
Dude, I still haven't been yet, but I'm hopefully I'll just, make it out next year instead of it won't be a work trip though. It'll just be a fun
Yeah,
trip. So
yeah, yeah. Enjoy
but
it.
no, I appreciate it, man, and I appreciate working with you and appreciate you hopping on this call. And yeah, we'll chat soon and can't wait to see what you do on social media next.
Absolutely. Dude, I appreciate you. Like, again, can't recommend him enough. Like, it's been awesome, like, with the coaching, and I'm excited, like, for the next step, whatever I do next, and like how much that's going to impact, like, having that knowledge and the guidance and like taking me to the next level. So, can't recommend it enough.
Sick. Appreciate it, bro.
Yes,
Thanks.
sir.